So, what Spyglass does is a little bit different. The technology is now out there through Spyglass, where if a motivated seller types into a search engine, sell my house fast, avoid foreclosure, behind on payments, any keywords that we designate, we are now matching them, mapping them through technology and getting their actual contact information. This is publicly available information, cookies, lead lists that are being sold out there publicly, appraisal district information, et cetera. And if we can map them to their IP address, you will instantly get their name, phone number, email, physical address, information about their home, also other demographic information.
Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview Texas real estate professionals from active real estate investors, lenders, property managers, and many others that provide goods and services into the real estate investing industry in the great state of Texas. Our goal is simple: to share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level, and to meet the pros that can help you get there. Texas Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs build the business they need to live the life that they've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Anita Ortiz-Lubke, is a real estate investor active across multiple segments from single family to hotel ownership. She's based out of Fredericksburg, Texas, and is also the founder of Shift Smart AI, digital marketing and automation in the real estate space. Anita, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Super excited to visit with you for a little while.
It's great to have you on here. I always like to start off at the top of the show by asking guests how they got started in real estate.
Well, I had a 15-year corporate banking career. I was working in New York, and I met my husband at a blackjack table in Las Vegas. And we dated. He was living in Texas. He was living on a ranch in Texas. So go figure, a girl from Manhattan meets somebody at a blackjack table who lives on a desolate ranch in the middle of nowhere. But we dated for a couple of years and we ended up getting married. And this was 2008 to 2010. You know what was going on in 2008 with the big
Yep.
crash. And I was burned out of living in New York. And so one day I came home and told him I'm ready to go back to Texas. So we moved back to San Antonio and a couple of years just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I ended up taking a boot camp by Phil Grove, if you know Phil Grove out of Austin. And the light bulb went off. And about 2 weeks later, I came home and told him that I had bought a foreclosure property in San Antonio and we were going to renovate it. He didn't even know what I was doing. He was running his roofing company. And so that's how we stepped in and did that project and um, made a little bit of money, had a lot of fun, but a lot of problems on it. You
Sure.
learn your first one. And I was hooked with the whole process of real estate and renovation. And that was 15 years ago. Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. I love Phil Grove because that's how I got into real estate.
Oh, good. Yeah. Just his engineering background really just spoke to me and I got on. So,
So I came across Phil. I don't remember exactly where. It might have been at like a Sheraton Hotel in San Antonio. This was 2 years ago, and he was gearing up for this event, which happened to be in Dallas. And I ended up just meeting a ton of people who were very much, go givers. They were willing to share lots of information. And here I was just trying to get started. I was like, this is amazing. If real estate is like this, I have to be involved in it. That's how I got started.
yeah.
But, similar to you, I was burnt out from my previous career. I was working for Nissan, long hours, and I was like, let me try something else. You mentioned that first deal. Walk me through the acquisition of that first deal. What was it like? Did you have, help from Phil's group? How was the negotiations? What was it like?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, I went through that boot camp with Phil, but I didn't continue on with his education. I think, sometimes you think you can learn it on your own. I was doing lending for a long time. I had a little bit of real estate experience. So I said, well, we'll learn how to do this. And so we sent out letters. This was 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And it was a KB home, one of those boxes that, KB was building back in the day, 3,000 square feet, divorce situation with a lot of kids. The wife had answered, but she wasn't living there. The husband was living there. And we went, they had animals all in the house. There was not a wall that didn't have some brown
Yeah.
substance on it. It needed cosmetic. It was in decent shape, except for the air condition, but it needed a lot of love. And so we put a bid on it and took it over. I don't remember the numbers. It's been 15 years, but we used a hard money lender at the time and started the renovation process, but we decided to do the work ourselves. And so
Nice.
I think that's, some new investors have that mentality. I can save a lot of money if I do some of the work ourselves. And my husband can build anything. So for us, it made sense. I think
Yeah.
you your lessons at the end of this, I'll share what those lessons were, but did the renovation. My husband ended up injuring his back. This was
Oof.
around early November with the tile machine, trying to get some vinyl tile off and injured his back. So he was on the floor for 2 weeks. We managed to get it done, got it under contract, and about 2 weeks before we were getting ready to close, we had left to a family ranch that we have, came back just to check on the house. And the minute we walk up, he's in front of me and says, "Uh-oh, well, somebody had caved in the door, went into the house, stole the appliances. They went after the stove and the microwave. They wanted the dishwasher, but the minute that they tried to cut the water line, it had been flooding the house for I don't know how long.
Oh
So
my
all of
God.
the bottom floor with the brand new, nice vinyl plank flooring was swollen up and it was a mess. So we had to clean that up and got it all taken care of. We went over budget. Who anticipates having to fix
Oh,
all of that? Even with the hard money lender, we ended up making about $25,000. And again, I was hooked. A lot of problems with it, but the whole concept of taking something ugly and making it really beautiful is something that speaks to me quite a bit. So, the lessons we learned is don't do the work yourself because, especially with renovation, by the time you finish the property, you should have been looking for the next project
right.
because you got a gap in time. So we did that. And it just took us a while. We ended up starting to raise private money. I knew immediately that this was not the best way for us to get the best profit on our projects if we were going to move forward with this. So we built a whole private lending platform and had more money at the time than we knew had deals. We did that. I got my license because I saw what realtors were doing. I said, I can do this. And, so you learn how to massage the levers of the business and do what you do well and what you can do efficiently and then outsource the rest. So that was our first project.
So, first deal, appliances get stolen, floods,
Yeah.
still turn a profit. You're like, hey, we can do anything at this point.
Yeah, and it was fun. My husband might have a different opinion for you. He didn't think it was a whole lot of fun. I thought it was great. I had a good time doing it. And, that's your first project. Of course, you're excited to see it happen.
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Now, was that injury? I've never injured my back, thank God. Was that like a serious, like couldn't walk well for a couple days type of thing?
Yeah, that Thanksgiving, we had to load him into the car, and I'm from Delray. My parents were there at the time, and he literally laid on the floor. I had to bring him Thanksgiving dinner on the floor. He had a
Ugh.
crushed disc something happened to one of his discs. So for a couple of months, he had to go get shots, and he eventually worked his way out of it. But it was a pretty bad injury considering what it did to him. But we marched along and finished it, got it
Yeah,
done.
I mean, floods, appliances, almost can't walk, turn a profit. We're gonna keep going. I
Right?
like
Yeah,
that.
it's good.
That's the
Yeah,
attitude to have.
yeah.
So this is something that people talk about, like things getting stolen from your site. I've heard of, wood lying in the front or windows even, but the home's basically finished. The water lines are on, and people took the appliances. What would they even do with them? Like who? What are they trying to do with those appliances?
Our suspicions were that it would, we have various contractors. We didn't have a crew at that time.
Mm,
And so our suspicion was that maybe one of our contractors, because the location of the house didn't lead to a lot of traffic in front of it, and it was a green space behind. So it just lent to somebody knowing the house was empty. But when we went through the
yeah.
insurance process, the insurance company told us that at the time, may or may not be the same thing now, there were people that would look on MLS for newly renovated houses, empty, recent flip, etcetera. And so it's worth it for them to break in and go sell these things for several $100 and make a little bit of money, to each his own. I'm not sure that's
Life
worth
of
my
crime.
freedom. I'm not sure that's worth my freedom to get about $1,000 worth of equipment, but
Live and die by the sword, Anita, I guess.
exactly, exactly. But we started putting in mobile cameras and, we learned how to protect ourselves. You just learn the lessons, right?
Have you seen those barrel alarms?
No,
So I've seen these in flips. It literally looks like an alarm in like a cement barrel type of thing.
okay.
And people will put like a blue light at the top, and every person who enters the home has to disarm it. I've walked into these homes and like been unable to turn them off, and you're like fumbling over your phone. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so loud. So there's ways that people are trying to secure their properties. I do want to pivot a bit here though, and ask you about going from there to then hotel ownership now some years later, because I know you were involved in that space for a while. How did the hotel play come into the forefront?
So you and I chatted before. You're familiar with Texas, and just north, about an hour north of San Antonio and an hour west of Austin, is the Texas Hill Country. And Fredericksburg, in particular, has become known as the new Napa. It's our Texas wine country. Right now, there are probably 100 plus wineries within a 30-minute drive from us. That growth has been in the last 10 or 15 years. But my husband has a childhood friend who is the winemaker for the arguably the biggest wine company out here, and very involved in the chamber. And he knew we were renovating houses, and he had invested in some of our projects as a private lender. And he called my husband one day and said, "Hey, there's this old hotel. I know the owner. She's an older lady. She's been wanting to sell. I have to stay in it because they have this big rodeo next door, and it's a dive. It needs a lot of loving, and you should come look at it. There's a lot going on out here. There's a lot of potential." And so we took a drive out there. This was 2016, give or take. We took a drive out there, and 12 rooms at the time. Doors were open. nobody on site. You would thought this place had been abandoned. She was just keeping it open to pay the real estate taxes.
Whoa. Yeah.
Holes in the wall,
Bleeding money.
bleeding money, old paneling, everything was a mishmash of this, that, and the other. And we left unimpressed. We were not in that commercial space. We were very involved with our residential business, and we just said, yeah, not for us. And we went home.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And about 2 years later, I was in the office and I said, hey, I wonder what happened to that hotel, because by then Fredericksburg was blowing up. And just like any husband probably does, don't worry, go figure it out. He wasn't even paying attention to me asking him this question. And so I skip traced her and sent her a text, the owner, and 2 weeks later, we were sitting in front of her making an offer on the hotel. She was ready to let it go. We were at the right place at the right time. And I still have it somewhere on my computer. I remember getting onto like a Canva or whatever I was using at the time, and noting where the hotel was, looking at the 5 or 6 wedding destinations, because a big wedding venue area, and then all the wineries that were around it. And we were the only functioning motel, or would be the only functioning motel, between Fredericksburg and Johnson City. And I was like, I
Wow.
have to own this. I have to have this. So the story gets better. By then, we had gone to some other training. I'm always big on education. I may not embrace all of it, but I always find something from everybody. And we had spoken, I can't remember his name, but he taught 0% financing strategies. And we made her an offer and she said yes. So we basically got the hotel with zero interest, self financing, owner financing on her part. And so it just got better for us. And so we pulled together a group of family and friends and who had invested with us prior, and some that just wanted to be part of a fun project. And we bought it, and my husband and I spent 6 months along with our crew and gutted it, completely rebuilt everything from the plumbing and reconfiguring some of the rooms and electrical to every stitch of furniture, paint and color and rebranding and all of that we did. And
Wow.
so we opened in June of 2019, and it's been a labor of love. We've been on the Today Show and Better Homes and Gardens, and Magnolia TV came out and did a episode for their Remotel series. And it's just, it did more for us personally and professionally, just to have that, uh, recognition.
Yeah, that brand. Yeah.
Yeah, than anything that we have ever done. So we still own it. It's a fun project. We've kept it out here and it's almost paid off because of the financing that we did with it. So,
Right. Right.
you know, you
I
make a
want to
penny
I
from
want
buyer,
to
right?
ask you a granular question about seller financing, if I can. Maybe give away some of the gold, but don't give away the whole gold bar here, Anita.
Sure.
I am coming across. I'm a realtor in Texas. I'm coming across lots of people who, for my money's worth, seem to be first time multifamily investors. Maybe they were fix and flippers. I've heard this story. Hey, my property's sitting for 4 months and I've got like low offers that I won't consider and nothing else. I got to get out of this fix and flip space. Or it's people who've seen, hey, I could potentially make offers using seller financing and get into some commercial multifamily or hotel space, motel space,
Yeah.
etc. What would be your feedback for folks on how to make a compelling seller finance offer, either in the terms themselves or in the way that you breach that conversation with the seller?
Yeah. So I think if you're, personally one on one, how we approached it with her is asking the question, are you open to taking payments over time? Right? Some just want the cash, they want to move on with life. Some, you got to figure out what their hot spot is. Do they want to just get up and leave? Are they looking for a softening tax hit, right? That was her thing, is she didn't want to get all of this profit in day one, and owner finance allowed her to spread it out. She was emotionally tied to the property, and her big thing for us was the cabins that we were going to put in. So, what I'm getting at is have that conversation as you're building rapport and trying to understand what would incentivize them to do owner finance, and then you can kind of tailor. And the question is, I we would never put, are you willing to take no interest, right? That's probably not the best way to approach it, and we don't do that on our contracts either or offer letters. But, are you willing to take payments over time? And if you're even hearing a subtle yes or a maybe, then you're able to kind of craft based on their hot points, you can kind of craft that offer accordingly. And so what we did on our contract is whatever, let's say the purchase price was $1 million, just throwing that out there, we would phrase it as take payments of $5,000 a month for 180 months with the balance due at the end of 180 months. So there's not this big glaring, you're not getting any interest whatsoever. It is phrased in a different way. And just like with owner finance that you're doing for a family, most families who can't go to a bank don't really care what the interest is, they care what the payment is. And
Yep.
so for her, it was the money that's coming to her every month and the bills that she needed to pay, and she wanted to pay off some other things. So there's subtle ways that you can kind of approach that.
Now, with that deal, was there any component of like nostalgia and ownership for her? Like, hey, I'm still going to be part of this effectively because I'm seller financing it, or was that not a factor at all?
No, she had other investments and she had an interest in being out of town. She likes to go to Oklahoma. She had a house in Pearland. Her thing was she had always wanted to put cabins and renovate the hotel and make it beautiful and fun, but she didn't have the money. She didn't have the expertise, the crew. And so I think that was really what sold her on us. She had been approached by other people to buy the hotel, but she also felt that they were just not going to do anything to it. They were the kind of buyers that were just going to keep the rate really low and let it go into the ground. She wanted to see that fruition, that renovation and
Sure.
turn that place into a property that she had always dreamt of. So she came to our owner's party. She came by a lot the first couple of years, see what we're doing, and she loved everything that we did. But we just write her checks every month, and she's happy as can be.
Sounds pretty good to me. Hey, if folks are listening, this is a true win-win for both sides, the seller and the buyer. I do want to pivot though here and talk about Shift Smart AI, digital automation marketing, right? Marketing and automation. How did this come into play? Because we've talked about flips, you've talked about hotel ownership, and now we're talking about AI.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a tech nerd. I love tech. I've always loved technology. Even when I was working in New York on the banking side, I love that part of the process where we were building an interface for our external clients to see. And so it's always been something in the back of my head. And it started with building a mobile app out here for Texas wine country. And so I ran the technology on that, got that up and running. And then about 2 years ago, when AI and ChatGPT in particular just kind of started to come out of nowhere and everybody started noticing this and using it, I just went all in and mostly for our businesses. I wanted to learn how I could leverage this to write great social media copy and help me with the marketing side of things and emails and all of the fun things that ChatGPT can help you with rather. But I also started to train myself on other tools. You're in the space or you hear about the space, every single day there's a dozen new tools that are coming out that people like us can use. You don't have to be a big conglomerate anymore to have access to these really great tools. And so that morphed into teaching and educating mostly real estate agents for continuing education through the Texas Real Estate Commission, teaching AI classes. So 14 low cost and no cost tech tools to use to make you, your best real estate year ever. Things like that, how to clone your image so that you don't have to have expensive photography sessions anymore, how to do video, all of that fun stuff, mostly to get people, older agents in particular, to embrace and open their minds about what is out there. You don't have to learn all of it. I always teach just start with one, right? Find
Yep.
something you love, start with one, and then master it and build onto that. And so that training turned into Shift Smart, which became a digital marketing agency mostly built around go high level and real estate investors and agents. But that has morphed into helping other business owners with that automations and all the fun things that come along to it. And then that's now led to Spyglass, which is a very, very unique lead generation platform that we've rolled out in the last couple of months. That's just beyond our imagination in terms of what it can do, especially for real estate folks.
Lead generation is the name of the game. I mean, hey, if you're a realtor, if you're an investor, if you're someone who is a service provider to the space, if you're, on Main Street and any type of business, you're going to need leads, right? And so what are most people doing? I feel like it's, hey, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to rely on word of mouth, or I'm going to dive headfirst into Facebook and Google. Walk me through, some of the unique strategies that Spyglass does.
Yeah. So to set the stage, I remember 10 years ago when we were starting out renovating, we spent $5,000 in 1 month on yellow letters to foreclosures and probates. And I bought a $3,000 printer so that I could do this. I didn't get one phone call.
Ugh.
Not one phone call, Dylan, and so it's very disheartening, and I'm working with a real estate client right now who has relied heavily on Google Ads, right? And she's spending north of $250 click, not even a lead, a click to try because it's such a competitive space. Same with Facebook. And so what Spyglass does is a little bit different. The technology is now out there through Spyglass, where if a motivated seller types into a search engine, sell my house fast, avoid foreclosure, behind on payments, any keywords that we designate, we are now matching them, mapping them through technology and getting their actual contact information. This is publicly available information, cookies, lead lists that are being sold out there publicly, appraisal district information, et cetera. And if we can map them to their IP address, you will instantly get their name, phone number, email, physical address, information about their home, also other demographic information. And what you can do so think about that, right? Think
Wow.
about the traditional investor like we were who have to wait until you get to a public foreclosure list or a probate list. And by then it's too late. You've got 50
50
different
people.
investors right knocking on their door. Well, if you can get to those people very, very early into their decision making process while they're starting to explore the options, how valuable is that? And if you can do that at a fraction of the cost of what Google or Facebook is charging, all the better. So, what we're teaching our clients and setting them up to do is those leads come in, you can push them to a custom Facebook audience with your get a cash offer for free. So instead of just letting the Facebook algorithm show whoever they think might fit into this box, you're going to actually be showing it to people who are in the last few days typing in, help me with foreclosure or get a cash offer on my house. We can
Yeah.
set it up to send custom personalized direct mail to their home because we now have their address. And we're also doing geolocation fencing. So with that address, I can tag onto any device in that house, and wherever they're at and on God's green earth, I can start showing them my ads. So I call it the hug of the types of clients. Now, whether or not you pick up the phone and call them, that's a little aggressive, but there are other ways to put yourself in front of these people much more strategically. I call it sniper targeting, right? You're getting your message in front of the right people at the right time, and you're not doing it for $250 a lead or a click.
So this is, I would say, an explosive area of conversation because they're not always entering their phone number, but they might be getting a text, right?
Yeah. So, unless think about industry statistics, right? Somebody searches for something on Google and they see your ad they drive to your website. 90% of the traffic that go to your website never converts. Unless they put in a phone number, an email, fill out a form, they could be there for 30 seconds and then they leave. You have paid for that traffic, but they have not converted. Okay. Spyglass flips the script. So now you're going to get that information, whether or not they've come to your website. It's called search intent marketing, right? We know that they're typing in a keyword that we are interested in getting in front of them for, and we're giving that information. Now, I train people. It's a powerful thing to have that information, but it's
Yeah.
also, you want to figure out the right message and the right way to address them. They may be on the do not call list. Do you want to call somebody or email them and say, "Hey, I saw you were typing in sell my house fast or avoid foreclosure"? That's a little aggressive, right? But everybody's got to decide based on their business and their model what makes sense for them. And so we've created the other, what I call softer touches of direct mail marketing, streaming ads, Facebook custom audience ads, and just being much more targeted, but sniper focused on who we're spending money on so
So
that you
now
can.
with AI, I like the approach of the direct mail because direct mail I'm just a big fan of in general. And when you said that you spent the $3,000 on the machine and didn't get one call, it kind of broke my heart because I was like, oh, my direct
Try me in
mail
my
heart
shoes, right?
is now, yeah, not because I love direct mail. I
Yeah,
mean, I've spoken with investors who have gone all in on direct mail, spending like tens of thousands of dollars a month, but their first campaigns were handwritten, and it's like, how could they even scale from that to where they're at today? So it's amazing where that can get you. But on the AI front of it, you're able to gather information on them. You know more about them. And then if you send them a tailored direct mail, you know,
correct.
hey, in this area, or I don't know how specific you want to get with them being on your website, but it's really able to go above and beyond without probably putting in more time, right? Because with AI, you could probably do the direct mail without having to handcraft it yourself.
Yeah, so my largest client, she's been doing Spyglass for about 3 weeks. She got 185 motivated seller leads her first week. So this past Monday, we sent out 550 by 8.5 postcards that are personalized with that person's name. And they don't say, "Hey, I noticed you were on our website," or typing this phrase in. It says, "We are looking to buy property in your area. Would you ever be interested in selling 123 Elm Street?" Right? So think about that person who's dying and swamped in debt, and foreclosure in Texas is 21 days max before
Yep.
they sell your house, and they're not sure what to do or where to go, and they're searching online, and then a week later they get this card in the mail that's not threatening. It could have gone to everybody on the street that says, "Hey, I'm looking to buy property in the area." That's powerful, right? That's impactful to somebody's day as well as to the investor who's trying to get in front of that person.
That is impactful. I mean, it's almost like someone else is intervening to save the day. It's like, hey, I was looking for this. I didn't go through with it. Here's this letter. That's really solving problems, right? Because I think a lot of times investors, you mentioned it, it's a race to the bottom in some ways, or in the reverse, it might be a race to the highest offer. But you want to get there before everyone else does, before the boat arrives. And so, I mean, I've spoken to so many people, Anita, who are doing some version of AI for real estate investors. But what you're talking about is very unique. I'm sure you're aware of that, in that no one is going to the length that you're going to really serve people at the highest level, even before they maybe feel like their back is fully up against the wall.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, real estate's the perfect model for this, but it works for any business, right? If you're looking for leads, the name of the game is to get to the right people at the earliest point of time for the least amount of money. And we're talking, $1 to $2 is the lead cost on Spyglass. I'm not in an auction environment, I'm pulling data. So I'm intent on keeping costs down because I want investors to do well. I'm 15 years of exposed to that model of doing the same thing over and over and not coming up with a better solution. This can complement the monies that they're spending on Google and Facebook to drive traffic to their site, but pick up the crumbs that Google and Facebook don't pick up because nobody's converted. So it's really kind of a nice little ecosystem. That's what I call it, is a nice little ecosystem.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. I feel like I've just discovered a whole new world that I gotta dive into, and
Good. I'll let you tell everybody, please.
that's right. I don't even is there a term for this space? Because it's not just lead capture or funneling. Is there a term for this kind of like not cookie tracking, but help me with the verbiage here?
It's search intent marketing, right? And that's what Google is. I mean, Google is search intent marketing, but Google is not going to give you the information that you need to track them and get to them. But they're also in an auction environment, and that's why their cost. It doesn't cost Google $250 to give you a push to the website, but that's what they're charging because it's a competitive space. I'm in the data pool because I don't play just on Google. I play everywhere on the internet. So it's a much more cost effective way to do that. But search intent marketing is what you're looking for.
Search intent marketing. Amen. Anita, we are coming up on time here. Where can folks go if they're interested in reaching out to you about Spyglass, Shift Smart AI? How can folks reach out to you or your team?
Sure. So visit shiftsmartai.com, and on there you're going to find Spyglass. And so you can poke around there. I'm giving away 25 free leads just to test it out because it is a new technology and I want to grow this. So it's not, it's risk free, cancel anytime, no contracts. But there's also a resources page. And so you'll find a lot of free training on AI, all the things that we talked about earlier. If you want to learn some really cool tools to help you in your business or clone your image or anything, automations, how do they work? And I'm continuing to add on to that. And then you can reach me at Anita at Shift Smart AI or book a call on that site.
Anita, thank you so much for
Thank
coming on the show
you.
here today.
Yeah, it was fun. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. If you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, you really need to learn more about the Investor Fuel Mastermind. It's your shortcut to success. To learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other amazing entrepreneurs, 100% financing on your deals, member-only discounts, and so much more, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. By the way, Investor Fuel is even Texas-based. Also, if you're interested in applying to be a guest on this very show, the Texas Real Estate Pro Show, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app so you never miss another episode. We'll see you on the next show.